Imagine a life where you and your other half have been in love your entire lives. In old age, you wait for time to take you away, but suddenly you are returned to your younger selves. Now you can enjoy the fruits of life again. Well, this couple is about to experience just that. The show begins by introducing two hard-working elderly people. Shu is talking with his wife Annie. They remember that when they were younger, they were very poor and couldn't even go on a honeymoon. However, Annie didn't mind because sharing her life with Shu was more than enough for her. They both want to see the apple tree they planted on their wedding day. The tree had split during a typhoon. When they arrive, they notice it has one last apple, which is golden for some reason. As evening approaches, Shu keeps thinking about how he wishes he had been richer in his youth. He begins to cry, regretting that he couldn't give his wife better things. Then he notices in the mirror that his face is no longer the same. He hurries to find Annie to tell her that he now has the face of a young man. To his surprise, she has also become young again. Without hesitation, he takes her in his arms and asks her to finally go on their honeymoon. In a sudden scene change, we meet Mino, their granddaughter, who comes to visit them. She is shocked to see that her grandparents have drastically changed from elderly people into young adults. Although confused, she knows they are still her grandparents. She even asks Shu not to cut his hair because his bangs look good on him. Mino wants to borrow her grandfather for a while, but Annie quickly refuses. Later, Mino talks to her father about her grandparents rejuvenating themselves. However, he doesn't understand what she means and ignores her. We then see a group of elderly neighbors wondering why Annie and Shu haven't come to play with them lately. Instead, there is a new, handsome young man who has charmed all the grandmothers. Annie appears and calmly tells them that she and Shu have rejuvenated themselves. The handsome man they've been seeing is actually Shu. One old man is so shocked that he spills tea on himself, and Annie has to clean it up. Later, we see a conversation between Yoshiaki, Shu's son, and Mino's father. Yoshiaki wants his parents to move into his house because he believes it would be safer for them. However, Shu refuses to leave the land that has been cared for by generations before him. The next day, more family members visit and finally realize that Shu and Annie truly have become young again. Mino happily hugs her rejuvenated grandfather, though her mother scolds her for acting too casually. Before leaving, Shu gently tells his son not to work too hard and pats his head, reminding him that adults rarely get praised for their efforts. This makes Yoshiaki emotional as he remembers his childhood. Soon, the neighborhood sports festival becomes the main topic of discussion. With most young people gone, the elderly worry about whether they should even hold the event. However, when they see the newly muscular and energetic Shu, they regain hope. During the festival, rival grandchildren arrive, confident they will win easily, but they underestimate Shu and Annie. In the tug-of-war and relay races, the rejuvenated couple surprises everyone with their strength and perfect coordination. After spending over 70 years together, they understand each other perfectly. The younger competitors are stunned as the elderly couple continues to dominate the games. Despite their victory, Shu reflects that he still has room to improve. Meanwhile, the rival grandfather remembers how, 70 years ago, Shu stole Annie from him. Even now, history seems to repeat itself. A week later, one of the rival grandsons visits Mino's house on an errand. He is extremely nervous because Mino is popular at school. They begin talking, and it becomes clear he admires her. Watching from a distance, the adults start imagining future possibilities. Later, Mino listens to her grandfather tell the story of how he fought against tradition to marry Annie. In the past, arranged marriages were common, and he had to stand up to his own father. Annie bravely defended their love as well. Inspired, Mino asks her grandmother to reenact that bold confession. Though embarrassed, Annie agrees and playfully threatens anyone who tries to take her husband away, impressing everyone. The show continues, and the next day, two high school students stop by, complaining about how boring it is to live in a place filled with only elderly people. They talk about wanting to move to Tokyo because they're from a different generation, typical teenagers. However, when they notice a beautiful stranger, they immediately wonder who she is. It turns out to be Annie. She greets the boys warmly, and just seeing her makes them blush because she's incredibly pretty. From that moment on, the boys begin passing by that area more often on their way to school. There's no special reason, they just want to see Annie. Later, we see a memory from the past. Annie is about to throw away some old newspaper brochures, but when she notices a clothing sale flyer, she pauses to admire the beautiful dresses. That memory lingers. When Shu asks why she took so long, he surprises her with a special package. Inside is a beautiful white dress. Annie is speechless. Although her husband pretends not to know who sent it, She knows it was from him. She loves the gift so much that Shu jokingly suffers a minor heart attack, but thankfully his rejuvenated body keeps him healthy enough to enjoy the delicious dinner Annie prepares afterward. That evening, the grandparents try watching a popular teen series recommended by their granddaughter. However, Shu doesn't enjoy it. He thinks the show displays affection too frequently and feels it's unnecessary. When he asks Annie what she thinks, she admits she loves it. She even asks Shu to act like one of the romantic characters. He tries, but Annie claims she feels nothing. This makes him wonder if, after more than 50 years together, they've become too comfortable. But in reality, Annie secretly enjoys it so much that she blushes. The next evening, Mino visits her grandparents and ends up helping an elderly woman who speaks in an old-fashioned dialect. Mino struggles to understand her and doesn't want to be rude. Annie quickly comes to the rescue, greeting the woman, who is known as the Fisher Woman. The elderly woman jokingly pinches Mino's cheeks and suggests she marry one of her grandsons. Annie quickly refuses, saying her granddaughter is still too young. Later, we meet another granddaughter who comes to stay with the grandparents after arguing with her father. She claims she'll never return home. However, she's too shocked by her grandmother's youthful appearance to even process her sadness at first. Eventually, she opens up. She reveals she feels pressured by her father to study medicine like him. She doesn't believe she's smart enough, and that insecurity led to their argument. Even after confessing all this, she insists she's a failure. Annie gently reassures her that there's no reason to cry and reminds her of a childhood memory where she once said she wanted to become a doctor to cure her grandmother's illnesses. Annie promises she will always support her. In another flashback, we see Annie when she was sick years ago. She wanted her husband to take their baby to the beach, even if she couldn't go. Shu refused, saying it wouldn't be the same without his beautiful wife. In the present, Annie looks at a swimsuit catalog and notices how modern swimsuits reveal much more than in the past. She wonders what kind her husband would prefer, but feels too shy to wear something revealing. Instead, she decides the white dress he gave her is perfect. Her granddaughter encourages her not to overthink it and reminds her she can wear whatever she wants because she's beautiful. Annie becomes embarrassed and runs to the kitchen. Soon after, Annie receives a phone call from scammers targeting elderly people with the classic "it's me" trick. Pretending to believe it's her son, she cleverly records the conversation. The scammer asks for money, but Annie requests an address first. She then informs the authorities, leading to the scammer's quick arrest. Later, Annie realizes she can see better without her glasses. Mino tests her vision with a newspaper, and Annie reads it perfectly, even from a distance. When Grandpa arrives, Mino makes Annie read individual kanji characters that form the sentence, "Grandpa, you are the most extraordinary man." Both grandparents become very embarrassed. When it's Mino's turn, her grandmother playfully makes her read romantic sentences like, "There's someone I like." Mino refuses to continue, clearly flustered. Curious, Mino asks if her grandparents ever held hands while walking. Annie says they didn't because it felt too bold in public. The real reason they held hands was simply to help each other walk. The next day, while returning from shopping, Annie purposely removes one glove to see if her husband notices. Shu does notice but avoids taking her hand, remembering what he told Mino earlier. Eventually, he lowers his hand slightly, and Annie quickly grabs it. They walk home together, smiling. Later, they visit their son, Takiro. He's shocked to see his parents looking young again. Medical tests show Annie's health has dramatically improved. Her blood pressure is normal, and her breathing is steady. After they leave, Takiro remembers when his mother was diagnosed with liver cancer. That was the reason he chose to study medicine. He wanted to save her. Even though he couldn't cure her back then, he feels his efforts were meaningful. He cries, remembering the promise he once made to heal her. At home, Annie also remembers that promise and feels proud of the son she raised. Another flashback shows the beginning of their apple orchard and how it was nearly destroyed by a severe storm that even made the news. Despite losing almost everything, the grandparents refused to give up. Through love and dedication, one tree survived. Years later, it produced a mysterious golden apple, the same one that restored their youth. That night, Annie dreams of an hourglass crushing her. Shu reveals he had the same dream. However, they decide to focus on something more important. It's been 58 years since they married. Shu claims he didn't prepare anything special, but Annie finds a hidden piece of cake in the refrigerator. He's caught lying. Still, she forgives him instantly, because she could never stay angry at the man she's loved for nearly 6 decades. Together, they enjoy the cake, without worrying about sugar or illness, and cherish the time they've been given once more. As always, look for the movie title in the video description. And while you're there, try to guess in the comments how many fairy tales were combined in this story. Don't forget to like the video, hit the notification bell, and stay tuned for the next awesome retelling.